Before I begin, I'd be remiss if I did not mention the passing of the patriarch of the Armstrong family, Bullet Bob Armstrong. Left a tremendous impact in wrestling through his various decades and, the territories and companies that he worked for. His sons carry on his legacy. Road Dogg would be the one that probably attained the most success. But Bullet Bob, from his promos to his in-ring work, even into his 50s and 60s, the man really just loved, he bled, he sweat wrestling. He really was very, very good. And let's do what we can to seek out footage of him, keep his memory alive, and rest in peace, Bullet Bob. You left a tremendous impact on wrestling. So, with that being said, I'm John Retlin with my review of AEW Dynamite, and I like 3/4 of the show. There was 1/4 of it. There was like a piece in the middle or not in the middle, but more about 80 minutes in where I'm like, oh boy, they're starting to the worm's starting to turn here. Also, I want to say in regards to last week's review, boy, I got a lot of people upset. I don't understand why, since I didn't say you guys couldn't have liked the episode. Sure, I got a little bit fired up. It's what I do. I've watched wrestling for 35 fucking years and still will. I've lived through the Monday Night Wars and a whole bunch of stuff. I understand if some people want to defend AEW, and look, you guys are right to defend whatever company you want, but I stand by every single thing I say because I'm just one fan. I can't have anyone else's opinion other than my own. And I stand by it. I did not care for the Dark Order stuff. I get what they were trying to do, but it didn't work for me. Now I'm going to explain some stuff that I didn't like on the show a little bit later. But there were some fans there that did help. Now, they probably did sweeten the crowd noise. Don't get me wrong. They didn't sweeten it nearly as much as WWE did with the Thunderdome. I'm going to say this much right now. For all the faults that AEW has, and they have some, they got more positives than negatives. Good God, they are not doing nearly as much bad stuff as WWE is. Just going to say that right now. Both companies have their positives, but I'm enjoying AEW Dynamite a lot more. It just seems like a more must-see program. So, the fans did help the atmosphere, and it was really nice to have just some fans there and, proper distancing and all that and everything. So it was good. Jericho joins commentary and he shouts as usual. And we have the Gauntlet match, which starts off as with the Bucks versus the Natural Nightmares, QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes. And it was the usual Bucks fare. I'm not a big Bucks fan, and I'm going to give you a reason why a little bit later with the segment, and you probably can figure out which one. But that being said, are they talented in the ring? I won't deny that they're talented in the ring. It's just I don't care for the video game stuff. The match was fine enough. The BTE trigger pinned QT. Of course, QT was going to be the one to take the pin. And then, after a little bit of a rest period, because the Bucks advanced, they had to face another team, Best Friends. And then Trent, does a kick and a spear and stuff like that. He does some pretty good stuff. Chuck injures his knee early on. And Jericho does say one good line. Now, I got some things against Jericho as far as how he conducts himself outside the ring, Sturgis and all that shit and everything. And yeah, there's a spike in some things, after he said a small amount of cases were happening, but I digress. Shivani, your positive attitude really bugs me. I don't know why that made me laugh, but it did. German suplex by Nick to Trent on the apron. Why? Just why the apron spots in general? Nothing against Bucks. Why the apron spots? I don't fucking get it. Then Trio, Northern Lights, we get more flippy shit. 450 for 2, and then Hangman shows up for some reason and just stops Nick from jumping in, and then the dreaded roll-up, the most devastating maneuver in all of professional wrestling, and the Bucks are eliminated. I would have thought the Bucks would have faced FTR, but no, they're just stretching that out a little more. So I will admit I do like that storytelling. But this thing with Hangman, yes, he's been drinking, he's been associated with FTR and drinking and stuff like that, and also drinking. I get it, but at the same time, this was done a little awkwardly. Now, don't get me wrong, it wasn't nearly as awkward as the thing later, but okay, Hangman's upset, he leaves eventually. And then FTR with Tully is out next, and basically they target Chuck's knee and just pretty much ignore Trent, and they beat Chuck. They beat the loser of the team and beat him pretty quickly. I like the fact that FTR and Tully had matching jackets. I like this pairing. I like this. I think this is going to work pretty damn well. And then, by the way, the ref was lost during some of this. It's like, he thought there was a tag, so he wasn't going to count somebody down. It was a little bit weird. We then get footage, black and white footage of Darby in a Ricky Starks mask, climbing onto a bridge and diving. Darby is insane. I met the guy. He's fucking insane. So we then get the Casino Battle Royale. We get announcements for that at All Out. Darby and Archer are going to be part of it, as well as 19 others. And then Archer beats up a guy at ringside, just hammers some guy. I don't exactly know who it was. Archer with Jake Roberts versus Sean Maluta. I don't know when WWE got rid of Sean Maluta. I know that he was only being featured as a preliminary guy and getting beat up on NXT TV or 205 Live. But I thought Sean Maluta actually had a pretty good look, and I hope that AEW signs him. I think he's got an upside. As far as world champion, no, but I thought he had something in WWE, mainly NXT when he was featured. I think he has something. Let's hope they do sign him. So pretty much, Archer destroys the guy. He just destroys him. One line, Bill Watts would love Lance Archer. Possibly. Don't know about the tattoos, but he might have loved him. As far as his style. Choke slam, blackout, EBD, claw, you know the drill. I like Lance Archer, though. He would terrify me if I ever met him, but it is what it is. Roberts and Archer are talking. Jake sounds like he barely survived an exorcism. I know that he had a lot of drug issues, a lot of drinking, and all that stuff and everything, and that's what he sounds like. But fucking hell, he sounds horrible. Like, he can still deliver some words, but he sounds really ill. Thankfully, he seems to be okay. But God, all that shit that he did to his body really damaged him. And then we get Taz, Ricky, and Cage. Brian Cage for what he's worth. He looks good, and that's about it. I like Ricky Starks. More Battle Royale hype, and they're going to be in it. Not Taz and Roberts, thank God. But Ricky and Cage, okay, they're loading this shit up, and that's a good idea. They only got about 8 more days. No, well, about 9 more days until All Out, which I'll be ordering very soon, and you guys should order it as well, since it's going to be a pretty damn good pay-per-view, I think. But I like this. I like this hype. And then Darby just rides a skateboard down there, attacks Ricky Starks, and pairs off with him. So that was good. That was actually some pretty good stuff. At least I enjoyed it. MJF with a Walker and his crew. He kind of talks about, I believe, Lee Johnson saying, "Oh, I saw you smiling at me," but no, he didn't do that. The Thunder Rosa Hikaru Shida video package. One, I absolutely love Thunder Rosa. I love Hikaru Shida. I am so looking forward to this match. It's going to be goddamn great. This is how you feature women and you feature your top champion. You bring in another top champion. Thunder Rosa beat Allison Kay at NWA Hard Times in one of my favorite matches of the year. It was a goddamn great match. It transcended as far as the women's wrestling label and was just the standout match on the card as far as I'm concerned. I love the fact we got footage of the NWA, which they're going to be coming back, I think, the weekly pay-per-view pretty soon, pairing with a couple other companies. And we hear from Billy Corgan. Really, really nice stuff. I'd be all for the NWA and AEW working together. AEW's got the platform, and NWA building that stuff back up. Besides name recognition, they need to pair. They need to pair with somebody and do some good stuff. So this is a win-win here. And they face off Shida and Thunder Rosa. And I don't know who the fuck was holding the contract. I have no idea who she was, but it's like, "Oh, I'm here for the contract signing," and Shida says, "I will win." She says it in Japanese. Both of them, being bilingual and the fact that they can act, and I think Thunder Rosa even knows some Japanese because she's competed in Japan as well. This is going to be really, really good. If you give them 15 minutes, they are going to steal the fucking show, in my opinion, or at least be right up there in one of the best matches of the year. So we then get MJF and Moxley in a contract signing. I want to say this. There were parts of this I liked. There were also parts of this where I'm like, okay, that this feels very stretched out, like they were stretching out for time. I give them credit. MJF and Moxley, they are trying to hype up really goddamn well. The Moxley chants, social distancing, just like your hairline. And then Moxley says, "Well, you'll do that eventually. You just got to hit puberty." They talk about being in a dark alley. Nobody want to be in a dark alley. That's seedy, but we're going to be in a ring, not a dark alley, John. And he mentions Moxley's influences, Sandman, New Jack, John Zandig, Onita, calling it hot garbage. I'm going to agree with MJF here, by the way. Deathmatch wrestling is hot garbage, in my opinion. There are people that like it. I'm not saying Zandig apparently has a very, cult following, and Onita did popularize it in Japan, but I'm sorry, I've never cared for it. But it was good stuff. It was a good way to drive, just get under the skin of Moxley. And then he mentions Buddy Rogers, Ernie Ladd, the Tully Blanchards of the world, his influences, talks banning the paradigm shift. and says, "Well, if you're scared, if you're scared of it, tell that pretty little wife of yours I'm single." And then Mox gets upset, and the lawyer gets all upset and everything. "No, I'll do you lay a hand on him, I'll sue you." And Mox says, "Well, I don't need that move. You're just forcing me to get creative, snap your limbs, all that." I enjoyed parts of this. Parts of this still felt a little stagey, just a little bit, but Moxley and MJF did deliver their promos well. And he, talked about Moxley talked about his old public defender, or I think he's in jail actually. And then on September 5th, you're a dead man. And then Moxley signed it, and they called him an idiot and everything. He's like, "Yeah, if you, it's like, what, but, whatever I put on page 17." They go, "What do you mean page 17? There's only 16 pages. Well, I thought you were a lawyer. You're supposed to read this." Basically, Moxley gets the lawyer next week, and if the lawyer doesn't show up and compete against Moxley, then MJF doesn't get his shot. Now, obviously, the lawyer is going to show up. I think he's a former wrestler. I don't know who the lawyer is, but he looks like he could have been a former wrestler. And cool. All right, fine. It was 70% good, 30% but it was more good than bad. And then Santana and Ortiz talk about what they did to the best friends in a feud I don't care about. Lucha Bros, Butcher and Blade with Eddie Kingston versus Sonny Kiss, Joey Janela, Griff Garrison, and Brian Pillman Jr. Eddie's shirt, which I will be getting at some point, it says, all lives can't matter until Black Lives Matter. And I'm putting this up here. And that's a mask I wear out in public, and I want to say right now, you can feel however you want on whatever side, as far as, your allegiances politically. We need to make sure that we band together, and we need to make sure, regardless of skin tone, that people are taken care of. That's what it comes down to. You can get upset at me, and you can type in the comments and say that I shouldn't say it. Well, guess what? I'm a human being first and a wrestling fan second. I'm sick of seeing people targeted. That's what it comes down to. So if you can't get behind that movement, if you can't get behind people mattering, Eddie Kingston, by the way, with a freaking direct shot right there, is a great shirt. I got to find out where that shirt is. You know where that shirt is from an accredited site, please let me know. Or a store. I will go get one. And then flippy shit, Joey Janela is fucking rotten. He does a bad DVD on, the apron, hardest part of the ring, and then gets a package pile driver onto the apron. Again, the hardest part of the ring. Then a stomp pile driver for 3. Pillman Jr. gets pinned. They're all in the Battle Royal. Okay. I mean, everybody probably is, but Kingston's team is. And I think Kingston himself is. And then we get the Dark Order being here with a casket. I know what they were trying to go for here. I stand by, once again, everything that I said about the Dark Order. I think that was a stupid segment that could have worked if I bought into the Dark Order at all. And I still don't. They come across as goofy. They come across as WCW 2000. Not because of the talent. The talent isn't the issue. They have, low card talent and guys that actually can work. And Brody Lee can work. And Anna Jay is a rising star. I just think this gimmick's stupid. That's just really what it comes down to. And I can think that. That doesn't mean anybody else has to think it. There are people that thought the Dark Order won them over. And that's cool. Great. I still don't buy into it. And they just did the stuff for no reason. Why were there lawnmowers there, by the way? Why were there lawnmowers? It made no fucking sense. There were cars there. The lawnmowers. I just don't understand. Oh, Brody Lee got a bonus because he's TNT champion or stuff like that. Or he has, he's the exalted one. He splurged on all these lawnmowers. Are they going to cut grass for the Jacksonville Jaguars? Are they going to take up landscaping? Are they going to take these lawnmowers and are they going to throw them at their opponents? What is the point of this? That's what I don't understand. If this was on WWE TV, it would have gotten killed, and rightfully so, because it isn't very good. It just wasn't, regardless of how talented any of these people are. And the vast majority of them are at least decent enough in the ring carried off. This gimmick isn't very good. Still, the group known as Retribution is far worse. Far, far worse. Because Vince doesn't know how to book a good show anymore. At least with AEW, you're going to get a lot of good and some stuff that, like this, doesn't agree with me. And then the casket has been closed on Nightmare Family. Oh, and Preston Vance was in the casket, so cool, whatever. Brody Lee then shouts at Giovanni to interview him. And we get it, he was unhappy in WWE. And I'm sure he was. And I'm sure he was vastly underutilized. He's just not very interesting to me. But good for him. And they're allowed to, they're allowed to go out and do this gimmick. Even if it doesn't appeal to me, it appeals to others. And then Brody Basically Brody, gets, mentioned, like, just gets all upset and everything. He's just like all upset about this, and then Anna Jay's the Queen Slayer. Oh boy, I'm very worried this is not going to work out for Anna Jay, who is a beautiful woman and is actually a rising star. I just worry this isn't going to work. And then Dustin, then QT, and then Scorpio Sky and Cardona help, so they kind of eventually fight them off. And then Hangman's at the bar, and this is where the Bucks have so much fucking forced emotion. I literally felt like I was watching a daytime soap opera, and not even a good one. The Bucks and Paige and Omega and the whole being the elite thing, I don't watch it. I've tried watching it. It doesn't appeal to me. A lot of people like it. I know what they were trying to do. They're trying to do this whole thing with Hangman being a drunk and he's unreliable and this kind of stuff. And we're your friends. We want to do an intervention. Here's the thing, though. They tried to do this with the Road Warriors, with Hawk and Animal, with Legion of Doom, and I didn't like it then. I don't like these kind of storylines. I don't think they really work. Now, it will lead to Omega and Paige likely losing, and maybe Omega goes heel, and we get Paige pairing off and joining up with FTR, which I think is probably going to be the issue. Probably be, the crux of the issue, and we get Paige and Omega at some point. This just didn't work for me. And, God, the forced emotion. I'm sorry, the forced emotion just almost put me to sleep. If I wasn't laughing at it. It was what it was. It's just there. He's out of the elite. Oh no. He was out of the elite before. I know what they're trying to do. It just doesn't work for me. But I know it'll work for some. We then get Big Swole versus Penelope Ford and Reba with Britt Baker. Britt says if you beat them, you get me in whatever match. Whatever match you want. She beats them. It's some bad comedy and not very good stuff. This and the Hikaru Shida Thunder Rosa package were all that the women got. I know that the women's division is depleted, but if you can't even put one women's match on here with if you can't do something like that, it's weird. It's very, very weird. And this was not good. It wasn't funny. Anna Jay, Uno, and Grayson hand the Join Us pamphlet to Taya Conte. I believe they were calling her Taya now. Cool. Okay, whatever. I mean, I figured her and Anna Jay, if they're pairing up, they're probably, they paired up in the tournament. They're going to be doing that. Again, I just don't like the Dark Order. Now we're going to go to the matches that we're going to see next week. Santana Ortiz and Best Friends versus the Best Friends. SCU, Private Party versus Jurassic Express and the Bucks. The winners face each other at All Out. I'm guessing SCU and Private Party. Jericho and Janela, cool, whatever. And then Moxley versus MJF's lawyer. So far for All Out, we have Moxley versus MJF for the world title. Dark Order, Brody Lee, Colt, Uno and Grayson versus Natural Nightmares, Cardona and Sky. And then Omega and Page versus FTR. Shida versus Thunder Rosa. And Mimosa Mayhem match. Which, I mean, whatever. And I'm going to make this real quick. We get a tables match. It's Sammy Guevara versus Matt Hardy. Sammy gets gashed. Pretty goddamn bad. I instantly noticed when they battled into the crowd. Kylan King in that red dress. Fabulous look for her. Feature her on Dark more and sign her to a goddamn contract and sign Skylar Moore while you're at it. Sammy got busted open and eventually hit Matt with a superplex through a table, and there we go. And then Orange Cassidy brawled with Jericho. Not a bad show, honestly. Way more good than bad. It wasn't worth necessarily getting angry at, but I was just too busy laughing. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.